The tagline better than the first two is crazy because it definitely wasn't. The kid for some reason, even though this is Home Alone 3, like they made sure to know that this is the third movie in the franchise, not like this is a remake. Isn't Kevin. It's like not even like, oh, they got a different actor. No. The kid in this movie's name is Alex. And he's got like different family members, like a kid named Molly that's played by Scarlett Johansson, who's in like two or three scenes, and then his other brother Seth. Um, this movie's plot is a bit weird. They established pretty early on he's got chicken pox, and that's why he's staying home alone. And he has the entire movie, which I just think is so funny. Like 2 minutes into the movie, he has chicken pox, and he has the entire movie. Don't know why that's so funny to me. Um, so like his mom works a lot, and that's why he's home alone. He's sick, so obviously he's not going to school, but his siblings are. They never explain why the dad is never home. He isn't in that in too many scenes. But I mean, there's like one scene where they say he is traveling somewhere else, so I guess his job requires travel. But I would have appreciated to know what his job was and why he's never home, and not just the mom. Um, so the plot of this movie is way more serious than the first two Home Alones, and even though it's a little goofy, they try and make you take this movie like somewhat seriously. Like there's like four robbers that are wanted all across the world, and they've done all these really really bad things, and they want like this weapon that they hid in a toy car to get through security, and of course he ends up getting it because like they misplace the bags or something. Like a woman grabs the wrong bag, and they were like similar looking bags or something, and he ends up like shoveling that woman's yard because she's his neighbor, and she gives him the toy as payment. And that's how he gets the toy car. He eventually finds it. He's messing with the robbers. He tries to call the cops on him quite a few times because, unlike the other movies, they actually have a phone. Because I believe in the original, it was like the phone lines are down. I don't remember what happened with the sequel. But he tries to call the cops, and the robbers are able to get away in time. So he decides to take matters into his own hands. And the traps are pretty fucking cool in this movie. They're the best part of this movie. The movie itself isn't all that great. The robbers are way more serious than they were in the, first two movies. Like Joe Pesci's character does threaten to kill Kevin in one of the movies. I believe it might have been the first one. But they straight up have guns in this movie. And they talk about killing kids several times. Like they're like, why can't we just kill all the kids in the neighborhood and then look for the car? Like, what the fuck? There's a really funny and kind of badass line where apparently Alex had switched the robber's gun with his toy gun, and he's like, "That's not your gun. This is your gun." And then he points a gun at the robber, but it turns out that was also a toy gun. So that was pretty fucking awesome. I will say that I think even though once again it's a kids movie, it's pretty stupid. The robber runs away, right? Because he thinks that Alex has a real gun and he just pointed a real gun at him. But for some reason, he decides to just hide in the igloo. Not leave, not take off in the van and leave his partners behind, or just something like that. He decides to just hide in an igloo, which, mind you, has traps in it. Very visible traps. So he knew that this was a trap that Alex had set up, and he decided to hide in it instead. Really stupid. There's also something kind of random with Alex having a pet that gets killed pretty early on, and you know, his brother Seth tries to say that's he's faking chicken pox because he's just sad his pet died, and he's like, "What? My pet died?" And then that's all they really do with it. Felt kind of random to give him a pet just to kill it and have like that one scene. He didn't. It didn't seem like he really cared that much about the pet. There's also like an adult joke about how his brother has like some nudie magazines on the wall, and it's like covered with sticky notes, and Alex needs one of them, so he gets one from a place that's not as inappropriate. It's weird. There's some very weird jokes in this movie. I don't know what the writers were thinking. But the traps were kind of cool. Some of the actors were trying their best and were a lot of fun. Um, I'm gonna look at the one actor's name real quick, and I'll tell you who I really liked. The guy that played Earl Ugner, David Thornton, he was the best part of this movie. He had some like deadpan humor that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't, but when it worked, it worked. Neil Flynn was also in this movie for like one scene. He was, the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. It was pretty jarring to see him here. Overall, it was a fine movie. No idea why it had to be attached to the other two. It probably would have been a lot more well received if it was considered just a remake. But no, they called it Home Alone 3.